and welcome to Saturday's edition of the DCEU Daily. And on today's show, we talk about the possibility of Joe Manginello returning as Deathstroke in Zack Snyder's Justice League. I will update you on some Black Adam casting news. And finally, the big breaking news that Warner Max is already history and the restructuring of everything under the Toby Warner Brothers Pictures banner. Let's begin. Now, before I read this so-called exclusive article from Collider, basically they are basing everything on Joe Manginello changing his haircut and hairstyle. But listen, we already know that this is happening anyway, but let's give it a read. Exclusive. Yeah, right. Zack Snyder's Justice League reshoots add Joe Manginello's Deathstroke by Jeff Snyder 13 hours ago. Joe Manginello will reprise his role as Deathstroke for Zack Snyder's Justice League. Collider has exclusively learned through his hairdresser. I'm joking. Earlier this week, The Hollywood Reporter reported that reshoots are currently underway with Ben Affleck, Ray Fisher and Amber Heard back as Batman, Cyborg, Amira and Jared Leto slated to return as the Joker from Suicide Squad. Meanwhile, Henry Cavill's Superman and Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman were noticeably absent from the report, and Cavill has explicitly told Collider that he won't be shooting anything new for the 4-hour-long HBO Max series because they've already got enough footage. Zack's got his footage for those two characters, so he doesn't need them. Manginello is a different story, however. Deathstroke, aka Slade Wilson, appeared in a post-credit scene in 2017's Justice League that saw him recruited by Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. Back in May, when the so-called Snyder Cut, was first officially announced, Manginello promised his fans on Instagram that it would include the original post-credit scene, while one could interpret that as there was footage left on the cutting room floor. Our source explicitly said that Manginello will be returning to the set for additional shooting. A representative for HBO Max did not confirm Manginello's return, though our source sent a photo of the actor on Twitch this week, and he appears to be sporting a short white blonde haircut, which just so happens to be Deathstroke's signature look. Well, that seals it then. He must be back. Unless the actor is dressing up as Deathstroke for Halloween, it's unlikely he'd be rocking that look unless he was reporting back to the new and improved Justice League set. A representative for the actor did not respond to a request for comment. Collider actually had a chance to speak with Manginello recently, and when asked to address a potential return as Deathstroke, the actor said, "If I was a part of it, that wouldn't be my place to announce that. That would be Zack's place. So whether or not that's happening, that is an answer that is below my NDA level," or whatever you want to call it. Meanwhile, Zack Snyder's Justice League will be comprised of 4-hour-long episodes. So not only will it incorporate unused footage, but Snyder is shooting new footage strictly for the HBO Max series. For example, Leto will be reprising his DCEU role from Suicide Squad and shoot new material as the Joker, who was referenced in Justice League but never appeared in the actual film. Was he referenced in Justice League? I can't remember that anyway. Basically, that is it. So, Joe Manginello actually has got an interesting history with Zack Snyder because Henry Cavill wasn't actually Snyder's first choice to play Superman. It was Joe Manginello himself. Now, Joe Manginello at the time was tied down with True Blood, and that was what made him famous and made him so successful. He couldn't get out of that contract. They couldn't find the time for him to play Superman, so it never happened. And I always wondered about this. I mean, I think it's balmy even thinking about Manginello as Superman. He looks nothing like any version of Superman. Would it have worked? For me, how could it have worked? And I think you're talking about really controversial casting, and Man of Steel in the Snyderverse is already controversial enough. So I'm not saying I would have hated it, and of course we never would have known of Henry as Superman anyway. It would have been rather strange, but that is true. So anyway, we know, forget about this article, Joe Manginello will be doing some reshoots for his role as Deathstroke in Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is terribly exciting. Now, we have been told that Jared Leto's already shooting additional photography as his Joker for the Snyder Cut. Now, I can tell you that I saw a post from Jared, and yesterday he was recording some music. So he's not doing it at the moment. It doesn't mean he's not doing it. I believe he is doing it, and I think he'll do a lot more Joker stuff for HBO Max. But at this very second, he's not doing additional photography. This also proves that this additional photography isn't actually going to last 1 week. It's going to last a hell of a lot longer. $70 million is a hell of a lot of additional photography. So you can bet your bottom dollar there's a lot to do. But again, it does pose the question, how much of this film is done? How much of it is not done? We know that Zack finished his photography for the original cut. But we also know that that cut was compromised. 2:14 was compromised, as Chris Wong-Svensson and others have already told us, and that's true. It's a compromise shoot because they already had to rewrite that script, Zack Snyder and Chris Terrio, because the studio didn't like it. They thought it was too scary. They thought it was insane after the reaction to BVS. What Zack is actually doing now, he's actually doing his original vision, his and Chris's original vision for Justice League. So we're actually going to get his original vision, which is absolutely sensational. And the more I hear about this, the more excited I get. Yes, we're back with the Illuminati.com. Now, it's interesting how these sites come out of nowhere. But anyway, they seem to have a good handle on DCEU information. So let's give this a read. Black Adam, Dr. Fate. I tell you what, I hate this actual site because it just puts pop-ups all the time. But we're going to try and get through it. Black Adam, Dr. Fate's power set reveal, and Sam Rockwell, the prototype for casting search. Exclusive. So basically, Sam Rockwell is the prototype for the kind of Dr. Fate that they want. Exclusive movies and superheroes posted by Corbin Shanklin. As the casting continues for Black Adam, we have new information on the live-action direction of Dr. Fate. Black Adam has been slowly but surely filling out its cast over the past few months. Today, we at the Illuminati are proud to shed some light on the search for Dr. Fate, who will make his silver screen debut in Black Adam. Of course, we had an awesome version on Smallville in Jeff Johns' Absolute Justice. It was amazing. But let's give this a read. While I want an official casting announcement for the DC Universe's Sorcerer Supreme, patience is a virtue. We need hold fast to that virtue for a while longer, as the search for the perfect actor is still underway. That being said, through analysis of the new casting information available to the Illuminati, we can begin to help you narrow your fan cast down. The hierarchy of power in the DC Universe is about to change, as The Rock has already told us, of course. The casting team of Black Adam is currently searching for a male in their 30s to play Dr. Fate, Kent Nelson. He is described as a kind academic, while in the form of Kent Nelson, and a terrifying force of nature who sounds and acts totally different. The relationship between Dr. Fate and Nelson is likened to Jekyll and Hyde, and details regarding his power set were revealed. The DCEU version of Dr. Fate will possess powerful telepathic and telekinetic abilities, as well as the power to slow time and alter reality itself. Additionally, a well-known actor who is considered to be a prototype of reference is Sam Rockwell, one of the best actors actually the industry's got. I'd love him to do it. This does not mean that Warner Brothers is looking to cast Sam Rockwell as Kent Nelson. Interestingly, Rockwell is 51, meaning he's a bit too old to actually be considered for the role himself. I don't agree with that. 51 is not too old. He doesn't actually have to play the age that he is. But we've lost imagination these days, haven't we? At least according to the current search parameters, which it does mean is that the studio wants to cast someone who can handle both serious and comedic roles with skill. Yes, Sam could do that. And that they want someone with a relatively high level of charisma. Yes, Sam has got a relatively high level of charisma. This information also indicates that they are likely going to cast a Caucasian to play Kent Nelson, and that this actor will likely voice Nelson as well as Dr. Fate. So while we can't say exactly who will play the role of Dr. Fate yet, we can tell you that Warner Brothers is looking for someone who has what Sam Rockwell does. What that is exactly is a matter of speculation and could mean a variety of different things. Regardless, this casting information does provide some key information regarding the characterization of Kent Nelson in the film. While Black Adam was widely believed to feature the Kent Nelson version of the character, this was never outright confirmed to the best of my knowledge. Furthermore, this indicates a minor shift in the depiction of Dr. Fate, as the WB was previously searching for a 40 to 50-year-old as opposed to 30-year-old. The fact that they are skewing younger could indicate that Warner Brothers has long-term plans for Kent Nelson, whether or not Dr. Fate successors such as Khalid Nazir will appear in the DCEU one day simply depends on the public reception to DC's master of mysticism. Nabu is the being who possesses the helmet of fate, correct? And is a lord of order within the DC universe. He's a being with an incredibly high power level, having performed feats on par with beings such as the Spectre and the Eclipso. Nabu is ancient, incredibly wise, and generally benevolent, though that has not always been the case. The character is a powerhouse in the comics and deserves to be portrayed with all of the same might and glory on the big screen. His strength could prove vital in the third act battle of Black Adam, should the titular antihero encounter a foe too powerful for himself. Hopefully the long casting search for Dr. Fate proves fruitful and an actor of high caliber is cast in this ideally pivotal DCEU role. So very, very interesting there from the Illuminati. They seem to have a track on casting and the direction that they're going in. I personally am not opposed to Sam Rockwell. I think he's a really good actor and still looks good. I mean, 51, I'm 48 on Monday, for Christ's sake. Let's not be ridiculous here. That would be fine. But obviously, if they want him to feature big within the DCEU, the DC Extended Universe Multiverse Strategy, then you would maybe be better if he was 30 years old so they could go on and put him in there. And it'd be great if Dr. Fate could. Dr. Fate is actually perfect to cameo in other movies. And I'll repeat again, the version in Smallville that Jeff Johns gave us and that actor portrayed, and I forgot his name, that was phenomenal. So someone's really going to have to come to the plate to do something better than that. But this is awesome news, and it sounds exciting. Yes, I think this shook the very core of every Snyderverse fan yesterday, as the Hollywood Reporter exclusively reported that Warner Brothers Pictures and all feature presentations will be under one banner of Warner Brothers Pictures. So it doesn't matter if you're making a film over on HBO Max or with Warner Brothers Pictures, everyone has to report to Toby Emmerich. Now, to Snyderverse fans, this is, of course, very worrying because a lot of people who are aligned with Snyder believe that Emmerich was to blame as well for what happened to Snyder and the Justice League movie. I'm not sure I agree with that, but let's get the details first before we analyse it. Warner Max restructures as Warner Media consolidates film production. Warner Brothers Pictures Group Chairman Toby Emmerich will now have oversight over all feature output for Warner Media, be it streaming or theatrical. It means he is in charge of all features at Warner Brothers Pictures and HBO Max. The movie marketing engine of Warner Media is getting overhauled. Warner Max, the feature arm of HBO Max that was to be jointly run by HBO Max and Warner Brothers, is being phased out, with Warner's and its sister division New Line Cinema now becoming the sole producer. So already, after it being formed, Warner Max is no more. It's all going to be under the Warner Brothers Pictures banner. I will tell you my opinion about all of this when we finish reading it. Warner Brothers Pictures Group Chairman Toby Emmerich will have oversight over all feature output for Warner Media, be it streaming or theatrical. Moving forward, all development and production of original feature films for HBO Max will be consolidated under Emmerich and Warner Brothers Pictures Group, working in conjunction with Casey Bloys on overall platform goals, according to the studio. Sarah Aubrey, who is HBO's Max head of content, remains in her position, but Jesse Henderson, and the head of Warner Max, is leaving her post because there's no Warner Max anymore. Right. Nikki Raymar, Warner Max's senior VP, is surging to New Line, where she will act as a production executive. She will straddle the twin role. Anyway, we'll start again. According to New Line's president and CEO Richard Brenner. She will straddle the twin role of development and production responsibilities, reporting to New Line's president and CEO Richard Brenner, as well as oversee finished film acquisitions, reporting to Warner Brothers Pictures Group CEO Caroline Blackwood. Emmerich's development and production team, led by Courtney Valenti of Warner Brothers Pictures, Richard Brenner of New Line, and Walter Hamada, who oversees DC-based films, will continue to develop and produce titles that will be distributed theatrically for the Motion Picture Group, as well as direct to streaming on HBO Max. Warner Max launched in early 2020 as the feature film creator for the streaming service that debuted in the spring. The arm had a goal of making 8 to 10 mid-budget movies a year, but never ramped up fast enough or got far enough to achieve those goals. That's interesting. So they've literally said, this is not working, we're going to be under one banner. It produced Unpregnant, its debut original film for HBO Max, and acquired the Seth Rogen comedy American Pickle from Sony in the summer. HBO Max is currently in production on No Sudden Move, directed by Steven Soderbergh. Also, Warner's adaptation of Roald Dahl's The Witches, which was slated to open theatrically, debuted on the streamer this week. The releasing... hang on. I think we've finished with that now. I don't think there's any more. Let me just check it and I'll be right back with you. Right, let's unpackage this, right? That was all of the article. So we know what's going on. Listen, I know for a random movie fan, this is going to be absolutely confusing and it probably has no relevance to you. But if you're a fan of DC and especially the Snyderverse, it's very, very important that we unpackage this. Basically, there's no more Warner Max. Warner Max is dead. It's gone. It didn't work, right? So basically, it's all now under Warner Brothers Pictures. It's all a Warner Brothers Pictures production. This will all be overseen by Toby Emmerich. So how do I feel about this and why have they done this? Right, Warner Max didn't work for them. They realised they didn't need another department. The department wasn't doing its job and they didn't want to restructure it by putting new people in. They realised it just wasn't going to work and they felt if everyone just reports to Toby Emmerich, it'll work out better. Also, there's been rumours of divisions between Warner Media, Warner Brothers Pictures. So what they're doing now, they're consolidating everything together. They're unifying as one studio, as they bloody well should, by the way. Now, the alarm bells obviously are going to ring in people's heads because it's Toby Emmerich who's under complete control. It was hoped by many, many hardcore Snyder fans that Emmerich would be shown the door by Jason Kilar and Ann Sarnoff. This hasn't been the case. Just like Jim Lee, he's been given more and more responsibility. So there's an element of trust here. So if he is responsible for taking down the Snyderverse, it will be very, very unlikely if he was a toxic individual for him to keep his job, unless he's got some serious dirt on these people. And if he has got some serious dirt on these people, he isn't going anywhere anyway. But because of this news, it's pretty obvious you can keep on banging your head against a brick wall. Toby Emmerich is actually going nowhere. So yes, I feel it's good that it's going to be under the same banner of Warner Brothers Pictures. Listen, this does not put what Zack is doing under threat whatsoever. AT&T acquisitioned the release of the Snyder Cut of Zack Snyder's Justice League, right? And Warner Brothers Pictures have no longer got any issue with Zack Snyder. Why? The only reason he was removed is because they felt he was deteriorating what they wanted to do, which was to bring a mainstream audience to the DCEU so it can make as much money as the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But that's not an issue with this multiverse strategy. They can do their mainstream, bright, inspirational cinematic DCEU films, and he can work over on HBO Max. Everybody wins. He's not hurting them, and they're not going to hurt him. So you've got to be logical with your arguments because it gets a bit boring. I noticed all the crap about Toby Emmerich already. Listen, you can post all the bullshit that you want, but it isn't going to change what's happening. Yes, we were able to get this cut, but you're not going to be able to give this man the sack. In fact, even Ray Fisher hasn't mentioned Toby Emmerich. Think about that. And Toby hasn't spoken for, Ray Fisher hasn't spoken about this situation for quite a while either. Obviously, he's coming to the table and things are getting sorted out. So I don't think there's any longer a divide between Warner Brothers Pictures or Warner Media, but Warner Media own them all anyway. So that will be done. I think an arrangement has been reached. Peace talks have been there and everything's being slowly sorted out. This is a good thing for the studio. This is a good thing for the DCEU. This is a good thing for Snyder. And before I go, I just say this again. Warner Media, Warner Brothers and Zack Snyder are together. Warner Brothers have no longer got anything against Zack Snyder because he's in his little corner over on HBO Max. He can't hurt them. He can't hurt their bottom line. In fact, his DC movie could be the only one that releases next year. They are relying on him. It's about that. So there's nothing to worry about here. There's nothing to be toxic about. It's better if the studio is conglomerated under one banner. So actually, this is a really positive move. Move. Yeah, it's a positive move. There's nothing to worry about. This is exactly what we want. Snyder is shooting this very moment. No one's going to stop that. You don't throw $70 million at someone if you don't believe in what they're doing. They need him. He's back in Warner Brothers, exactly what he wants. He wants to be working on these DC projects. It's his dream. That's why he fought so hard to get it back. So, in fact, it's the people spurting negativity about Emmerich that could hurt that, not that they would, rather than the people at Warner Brothers Pictures themselves, right? In terms of what's going on with Ray Fisher and what Warner Brothers Pictures said, you would expect them to protect their side of it, right? But I think now they've all spoken, and I think everybody understands each other, and I think Ray understands that, yes, he wants to fight for justice, but he also, of course, he wants a career, even though he said, accountability over entertainment. After all, everybody is only human. But yes, I'm happy about this move. I think it's positive for Warner Brothers Pictures, for DC, for Warner Media, and this can only be a good thing. Comment down below, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with more DCEU Daily. In fact, it was a miracle I brought this episode to you. My guts are about to explode. I know that's graphic, but I feel absolutely terrible today. So wish me well and wish me that I actually live to see my 40th birthday on Monday. But I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully. Maybe. I'm scared.